Hello, everyone, and welcome to Daily Grace with Pastor James. So glad you are joining me after a few weeks back of this special episode that we have been taking. So today we want to look at Daniel, the book of Daniel. In the church, we have actually been looking at the entire book of Daniel, and it's been very, very instructive. And today I just want to also look at the lessons from the book of Daniel. The book of Daniel gave us three vital lessons. The first one, it talks about faithfulness. The second one, it talks about prayer. And then the third one is God's sovereignty. These are so key. And when you look at the book of Daniel, it was actually written in a time where the children of God were taken away on exile to Babylon. And they were taken into this Babylonian exile. And the people that were taken were the bright people in Judah. And of course, we have Daniel and his three wonderful friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these people were there. And, the Babylonian style was actually to make them in such a way that they don't remember their roots. It's to actually change them, to change their culture, to change everything about their faith. But Daniel and his three wonderful friends were exception to the others. And probably that's why we're able to read about them today. They were not the only ones that were taken away from Judah, from Israel, but we are reading about them today. Although this happened in ancient time, but even today, we still have the modern Babylon. We still have the modern Babylon in our Christian life as children of God. So those are the things that we want to be looking at today. The first one we want to look at is the lesson of Daniel's faithfulness. In Daniel chapter 1, verse 8, it says, "But Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and wine of the king." Daniel refused to abandon his practice, his conviction, everything that is required of his faith. He refused to abandon them, even though he was in a foreign land and he was under severe pressure. And when you look at Daniel's faithfulness was not passive. He took step respectfully, requesting an alternative to what he has been given. And in that process, also trusting God with the outcome and continuing in his duties with excellence. Daniel's faithfulness that we have seen today is the decisions that we make, the small decisions that we make. For instance, what are you watching right now? Oh no, it's Daily Grace. But aside from Daily Grace, what are you watching on a daily basis? What type of language do you use? What do you do with your heart and your mind? Faithfulness is not a promise of ease. I just want you to know that Daniel was faced with potential loss of favor, not just favor, but even his own life. But in spite of that, he was still faithful to his duties to God. What's our modern day Babylon? Remember, just like you can look at a young man who was asked to embellish numbers just for him to win the heart of the people there, or a student that has been pressured to cheat in an exam to have a scholarship, or even parents that are tempted to compromise values. These are the modern Babylons. Or when friends are pressurizing you to do something that you know is against your principle, it's against your conviction. These are the modern Babylons that we are facing today. And the second lesson from that wonderful book of Daniel is prayer. in Daniel 6, verse 10. Now, when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home, and between his upstairs room and his bed, he knelt and prayed 3 times a day, giving thanks to his God as he had done previously. Wow. So, despite the fact that the law has been published to trap him, because it's actually the main reason why they went to the king to do this, Daniel continued in his prayers. Daniel was continuous in his faithfulness. His habit of prayer was not dependent on convenience or freedom from danger. And that is what I want you and I to keep in mind when we are doing this work of the Lord. Prayer was a lifeline for Daniel, and that was what sustained him. It shaped his priority, and it kept him humble as well, and connected to the one who can do what no man can do. Listen, brethren, prayers doesn't always change your immediate circumstances the way you or I may expect, but it changes the one who prays. It changes us, it changes you, it changes our outlook to life, and it aligns us with God's will and strengthens our faith in life. Prayers. When we talk about prayers, prayers can sustain you. Prayers have sustained so many people. Think about families who are found in a situation where they are unable to forgive, but after some time, as a result of prayers, they were able to let go. Prayers is important in your community where you are brought together to work. Do you pray for each other? The third lesson from this wonderful book of Daniel talks about God's sovereignty. God's sovereignty. In Daniel 2, verse 20 to 22, Daniel praised God who reveals deep and hidden things. He made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what will be in the latter days. You see, the things that no other person, the sorcerers and all those other people that were around the king could not say or do, God revealed to Daniel. God revealed that to Daniel, and Daniel praised his God for revealing that to him. God controls our history. God controls all histories, and he rules, and his rule does not only pertain to the past, even now, if only we focus on him and trust on his sovereignty. The same truth that happened during Daniel can also happen in your life and my life. Daniel's story, Daniel and his friends, if we stick onto that story, it will help us in life. So Daniel teaches us to be faithful in our choices, to be committed in our prayers, and to have confidence in God's sovereign rule. These 3 lessons are not abstracts, brethren. They shape how we live our daily life in our homes, in our communities, in our workplace, and even in our prayer lives. Thank you so much for listening to me in this episode. Once again, my name is Pastor James Egudibe, and I pastor RCCG Solid Rock Parish Derby at the heart of the city, Exchange Street, DE1 2DU. If you are looking for a Bible-believing church, we have wonderful brethren who will welcome you with an open arms, and we are looking forward to see you worship with us one day. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next episode.